Hi, this is Lou Harty from 21st Century TV. Today I'm joined by a wealth strategist, financial educator and a sports science guru, Mr. John Bigatton. Hi John, and welcome today.
Thank you, Lou. My pleasure to be here with you.
Actually, I believe that you've just come back from overseas and I've brought you here to this beautiful cold Melbourne weather. So what have you been doing in LA? You've been in LA, right?
I just came back from LA, yes. Spent some time over there with friends and with Nick. And we just travelled around, went past Disneyland. I didn't get a chance to go in there, but next time I'll take my family with me.
You went to America and didn't go to Disneyland? No. Bet your kids hate that. Right, guys, today what we're going to be talking to John about is, he's a financial educator, but primarily we're going to be talking to him about trading financial markets and what makes someone successful at trading, how they understand trading, risk management, psychology, and things like that. So, John, you're with Financial Freedom Institute, which we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But let's talk, tell us a little bit about your life and how you sort of went from, doing what you were doing before, which was sports science, I believe,
yes,
into the field of trading financial markets.
Okay, Lou, well, essentially what happened was I started off in pathology. That was my first degree, and it was just a matter of, okay, do I really want to stay in this, talking to machines, testing blood analysis, doing blood analysis or what have you, or move into assisting people? But the first obstacle I had to overcome was myself. Okay, well, that was the first thing. And that's where the sports science degree my science degree first taught me about the body. And from there I moved on to other degrees such as my sports science degree, which allowed me to enhance my knowledge and make changes to myself that then I can then pass on to others. So
from a previous conversation, you said that when you went to uni, you got into sports science and stuff, yes, like that, but you were a fat kid. Is that true?
Well, you could say fat kid would probably be an understatement. It was beyond that. I guess I was the individual, the child that was rejected more often than not, because I was essentially clinically obese.
Wow.
Yeah, I was clinically obese pretty much all the way through school. I was picked on and what have you. It was more of a very traumatic emotional experience more than anything, but I had to deal with it. And it was essentially towards the end of the first year of university that one of my colleagues said to me, look, I'll help you out here. We'll utilise the knowledge that we've gained from our studies, and we'll take you through and get you to overcome the obesity.
So how long did that take from you deciding that you acknowledged that you're a fat kid, and the pressures that a teenager would experience anyway, particularly at university with that peer pressure and stuff like that. So at what point, what was your turning point? Was it that gentleman that said to you that, look, you're overweight, you could be far better than what you are based off, having that internal confidence as well as you wanting to succeed?
Well, look, for those people that go to university and socialise a lot, they get to see a lot of individuals having fun, enjoying themselves, going dancing or what have you. And I was always the one that was held back because I couldn't break into those groups. So the decision was made, stay as I am and suffer the long-term consequences, both emotionally and physically, or take action upon myself, be guided and make the difference for myself, and then potentially anybody else that comes into my life in the future.
Did you find that had a flow-on effect once you sort of made a decision and you went, okay, look, I'm overweight, I really need to do something about this? Did you find that your peers were supportive and that sort of started to flow on with the people that wanted to help you and get you to where you wanted to be?
It was massive. It was massive because people saw what I was to what I've become in such a short period. Essentially, in 10 weeks, without really doing anything different except training, I dropped 12 kilos. All right, it was just
except training. So you were doing something.
I had to,
so
nutrition-wise, nutrition-wise, didn't do anything. It was just the fact that I started to apply more movement in my life, which is physical training. And it was weight training, and that made the biggest difference, because then all of a sudden girls started coming into my life. Yes. and then it continued on from there, and it built my confidence.
So let's fast forward a bit then. All right, you've come out of uni, you've lost this weight, you look great.
Thank you.
You've got that confidence. So then I believe you got into sport, like elitism, sports training, strength
Yes.
conditioning, etc.
Yeah, as the years went on, I got to the point where I wanted to then pass on a lot of my knowledge to others, just general individuals. And then I traveled overseas and educated myself further at the highest level that I could possibly go, became a strength and conditioning coach. And from there on, I trained a lot of elite athletes in a multitude of sports, such as state netball, soccer here in Australia, gymnastics. And it was a great time while I was doing it, and massive results in the individual. And I found that the majority of times, it wasn't so much the instructions I gave as far as the physical training and conditioning, it was more what was going on upstairs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit about, what gives you that strong mindset later on in the program. So from there, you're a fitness educator, and then you sort of got into, I think a story you were telling me before, where you sort of wanted to supplement your income, and that's how initially you got into financial markets.
Yes, Lou, that's exactly right, because I had my own business in the whole strength and conditioning rehabilitation world, if you wish, and I found that with those sorts of especially when you're in your own business and you're running your own business, you are limited to how much you can actually generate.
Yes.
Because you're doing everything. And I thought to myself, okay, what else is there that I need to do to generate more cash flow to assist me in case there are no clients? Because when you're running a business, you are reliant on clients coming in an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted something for myself where I can be doing something, which in this case happened to be on the financial markets, but I can do it from anywhere. And that was when my self-study began. And that was back in 1999, 2000.
And obviously, having that passion with helping people, like through nutrition and health, and then you learning how to trade, having that initial passion ignite, I guess, has allowed you to be the success that you are today. So, one, you look bloody fantastic. It's hard to actually even think that you would have been obese, but, when you do get those photos, feel free to...
I'll be sure to bring them in.
Because I'll actually promote those photos,
thank you.
The before and after. But I bet your family are very proud of how you've come and how you've grown since then. Tell us about your family.
Okay, well,
Get some photos here of your family.
I've been married now pushing on to 20 years.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yes, and it's been a phenomenal journey in the sense that when my wife and I, we met at university, okay, when I did my second of the degrees, and it wasn't so much love at first sight. It was like, For me, it was like, she'll do. And the reaction was, I don't like you. But one thing led to another, and here we are today. And we have two lovely daughters. One's 10.
They're beautiful.
That's Lara, and the other
Very
one is 5. And they're an absolute gem. Now, I notice you have a picture in the background. The first one that's on my right.
Is that there?
Yep, that one there. That was taken roughly 3-4 years ago, and that now I'm going to be sharing something that's pretty close to me right at this point, just to let people know that everyone goes through challenges in life, and it's what you do with them that's going to make you stronger and allow you to grow. Back then, my wife unfortunately was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that photo there is essentially the time that she was diagnosed. We took our last holiday with the family before she went through the whole process of the medical side of things, medication. I won't go into all the details, but she's fine now. She's overcome all that. But it was a very, very tough period in our life, because it wasn't just the breast cancer that was there. It was the fact that we had 2 young kids.
Yeah.
I had to also manage my business, manage the project of my new house being developed, and also we were living at my mother-in-law's house. So it was a tough task, but a lot of people were saying at the time, why are you doing it? Why are you going on holidays for? Why are you continuing with the construction of your house? I said, listen, this is the choice between my wife and I, because it's our journey. It's a unit journey. And because we believed in each other and we believed in the outcome, and we knew what the outcome was going to be, it pulled us through it. It was tough on the kids, all right, especially my oldest. But now she's realised what's taken place, and she's grateful that we've come through it together, and she's a much happier person now than what she was before, as you can imagine. When Lara was old enough to actually understand what was going on.
Yeah, and a lot of people can relate to that, you know, when tragedy strikes in the home, you know, you've got to weigh up whether you put, you know, everything on hold or do you just keep living. And, you know, ideally we would like to keep pushing forward and have that positive mental attitude that you know, if you stay together and stick together in a united force, then that you tend to overcome a lot more. So
Yes.
having a supportive family is been critical in your life and many people's lives. So it's good to hear that everything is now back A-OK.
Thank you.
You've got a very beautiful family. Your wife is gorgeous, and she fell in love with you when you were fat.
Well, no, that was actually afterwards. That was in my second of my 3 degrees, yes.
Well, I look forward to meeting her because I've never met your family before, so I can't wait to meet her. So let's talk about some mentors that you've had, John. And, you know, a lot of people, they need mentors, they need coaches or people that are going to sort of push them to another level. So who were your mentors as you were growing up through your uni years and up to date?
Because through university, when I made the changes to myself, I then wanted to pursue my career in the health, fitness and well-being world. And I went looking for someone that at the elite level, the top of the creme de la creme, if you wish. And that was Paul Chek.
Paul Chek.
Paul Chek, he made the difference to my life. There is nobody else that I can actually thank for the change that he's made to myself and my family, because my family did meet Paul and it was just a blessing in disguise.
So for those who don't know Paul Chek,
for those that don't know him, he is a leader in as far as strength, conditioning, nutrition, spirituality. He's essentially combining the mind, body and spirit all in the one unit.
So this is a photo of him here.
That's it, yeah. He's he's in his 50s now, and he is as elite and as fit as what he was 10, 15 odd years ago, if not beyond. So he's guiding me in that perspective.
So fantastic. And then we move on to the people that have helped you with personal development, psychology, etc.
Personal development. As I was going through that period of time in the 2000 and beyond, I noticed that a lot of the work that I was doing with my clients, especially in the rehab world, was not the physical component. It was the mental component. It was things that I was saying to these people that made the changes. And I had to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm doing? Because I didn't know at the time. I wasn't aware of it. And then by dealing with different people and associating, one thing led to another, and I came across a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. And it was his guidance that allowed me to identify what exactly I was doing with all these individuals, that I was allowing them to progress and overcome the pain.
Yeah, Bob seems to be quite influential amongst most circles. He's a remarkable man. He's also one of the leading speakers for The Secret, and you know, he's had a massive impact on a lot of people's lives and the way they think. So we've got your fitness mentor.
Yes.
We've got your psychology, life
Yes.
coaching mentor. What about when you first at uni, or when you're starting a young family, you're wanting to learn how to trade financial markets? Who sort of influenced you back then?
Well, the interesting thing was that when I started my own business, and that was in strength and conditioning and rehab, it was a matter of saying, okay, what do I need to do now to increase cash flow? And that's when I started to look into the financial markets. But if I was to rewind the clock a little bit during the days of university, I saw these people that were doing it, like, for example, a degree in commerce or business or whatever it is, and they're reading the newspaper and there's really microscopic writing with all these numbers. And I looked at that and I was fascinated, but it was too much effort in trying to understand what all this was about, so I let it be. And when I did start my own business, I had time, and I went through and I started looking at the newspapers, and I understood what the numbers were, and I started plotting these numbers on charts, and then all of a sudden I started getting some images. And from there on, I delved further to identify, okay, how do I read the markets? How do I listen to what's going on? Who is an individual that I can study and become aware of what's going on. And that individual was W.D. Gann. And most people will probably know of W.D. Gann if they are deep into commodities, for example. He's just a fascinating individual.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting that you say, like, when you do open the newspapers, like the Fin Review or the Australian, Saturday Morning Australian, and you do see these people opening up these pages and you're going, what are they looking at? It's like a completely different language. And, you know, when I first got into trading, is exactly that. I was inquisitive about how the hell these people could understand what was going on there. But I felt like I was missing out. Why didn't I understand? I understood every other aspect of the paper, except these pulls and, puts and calls and all these numbers and all these, what do they represent? So, so it's amazing how that skill has come out of, you wanting to know that. And it's put you onto one of the leading, investors of this century. So, W.G. Gann. So, what wasn't Mr. Fibonacci? He would have been influential in there.
Oh, look, Mr. Fibonacci. Look, I could go on and on and on about Fibonacci or Leonardo de Bonacci.
Yeah. You are Italian too, aren't you?
Yes.
That's something that I found out only 2 seconds before the interview.
That's right. But yeah, Fibonacci is, I guess, a lot of people look at Fibonacci as an indicator. It's not. It's another tool that can be utilized, and it's all based on natural square numbers.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I can talk days on that, but I won't. But
that could be for another episode, just on Fibonacci.
Yes, it could be.
Okay, so now we're. What about this man, Mr. Greg Secker?
Oh well, look. All right. What happened there was, it was all fine and good, me being involved in trading the stock market and then going and doing the derivatives such as option trading or what have you. That was all good, but I need an adrenaline rush, and I needed something that was faster. And I thought, okay, well, Forex, because Forex was starting to come out and people wanted to get involved, and I was just too afraid. At that point in time, I was too afraid to enter Forex because all I heard was high risk, high risk, high risk. And if it's high risk, I don't want to go and be putting my money into something that I'm going to lose, right?
Exactly, good point.
So it was just one particular day, I went to a presentation, and it was about trading Forex and how you can actually minimize and manage your risk. And what I then joined the program because I wanted this. I wanted it. And the fact that all I took away was how to manage my risk, that was enough.
Yes.
Because I knew how to read charts. That was enough. That's all I needed. I was so excited.
Yeah.
Thanks to Greg.
And look, Greg's got 20-year history of successful trading on the European markets, particularly Forex is his strength. And that was one of the things that I loved, is that you guys are only risking 1%. So we'll talk about trading Forex shortly. But this gentleman here, Nick Halleck, which is a big mentor of many traders, particularly in Australian circles.
Certainly,
10-year history here.
Yes. Look, Nick is just on another level altogether. Nick and I cross paths for the very fact that many of you may probably know that there are individuals that have what is known as parallel lives. Okay? And some may call that, when someone cross paths, they may call it coincidence. Well, I'm a believer that there's no such thing as coincidence, because if you have heard Deepak Chopra, he specifically says that there is no such thing as coincidence. It's just a number of coincidences occurring at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Nick's mentors and my mentors were identical. Nick's financial education and my financial education, or the people that he went through, were also identical. So Lou, all I could say was just a matter of time.
Yeah,
I put it out in the cosmos that I wanted to be someone that's going to shape and mold my future and carry me forward, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, Jamie McIntyre loves to share that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it seems that throughout your life, the mentors that have come along right when they're needed have fit in perfectly.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So let's talk about, you now work as one of the leading traders, senior traders and leading educators with Nick Halleck at Financial Freedom Institute. Nick and 21st Century have had a long, distinguished relationship for the last 10 or 12 years. We love Nick Halleck. We love You've got Sharelord Advance, you've got a lot of different trading programs. He's an Aussie that's had a massive success. You can tune into the interview that I did with Nick just recently, which you can learn more about Nick. But what is your involvement? Let's talk about the different products that you have to offer with FFI. So you've got an options trading program. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll move on to Forex.
Okay, well, the Sharelord is the program that we have there for essentially any individual. What happened there is many people know what property investing is, and they're accustomed to terms such as landlord. They're accustomed to terms such as renting the investment property. They're accustomed to terms such as insurance. So what Nick did there, as far as the shares are concerned, he wanted to make it simple for people to understand. And thus, Sharelord came about. Sharelord, landlord. So essentially what we're doing here is taking a parcel of shares and essentially renting them out. Even though you can't rent them, renting is essentially what you would do is write a call or sell a call option, all right? And you're receiving a premium for that. But using the terminology rent, it makes most individuals understand that they're receiving something for what they're selling, right? And then the other thing is when people invest in property or buy a car, they insure it, don't they?
Of course.
Right. But in the stock market, you find that most individuals don't insure their share portfolio. And why would that be? I mean, the whole ability to protect your portfolio from a downside risk has been there for the last 40 odd years, but nobody seems to know about it. So in Sharelord, we educate individuals on how to protect their portfolio from a downside risk. We call it buying insurance, but in actual fact, what it is buying a put option. We're just taking away all the jargon and the hieroglyphics that overwhelm people, make it simple for people to understand.
And over a 40-year period, it's low risk. It doesn't take much time to execute compared to some other trading strategies. I know it's one of the favoured trading instruments of Warren Buffett.
Yes,
over long term.
Yes.
So Sharelord and Sharelord Advance. So I think the Sharelord Advance program, that would have been created out of the need for those current Sharelord traders to keep learning, because you need to keep learning. You can't just know everything from one program and be the guru of everything.
That's right. Look, the individuals that want to be involved in stock market type trading or generating a cash flow from the stock market, most when they get in, they become overwhelmed because there's too much information, and they just become confused and they let it be, and that's the end of it. They never go back to it. And when you speak to those individuals, it's like, oh, it doesn't work. It's too hard. So Sharelord is designed to make it simple. My 10-year-old is actually going through the process of learning how to use the Sharelord system, and Sharelord Advanced is just a progression. So once you've understood the concept of Sharelord, then it's very simple for an individual to take on Sharelord Advanced to then enhance their knowledge and other tools and strategies to generate more cash flow. Yeah,
fantastic. And you guys can find out some more information. I'll give you the email at the end of this if you want to contact John. Now, we've got Financial Freedom Institute have just launched a beautiful extension and complement to their current suite of trading programs, which is called Cashflow Forex. I love trading Forex because, like you said before, some people, they just want that faster action. But it's not just necessarily short-term trading. You can also do some medium and long-term trades. So tell us about that, John.
Okay, like Forex is another instrument that can be utilized by anybody. Okay, it allows individuals to not be so held within a specific time frame, because it is a market that is essentially open 24 hours a day, 5.5 days a week. So it doesn't matter when you trade. And you can go on smaller time frames, such as your 15-minute chart or even a 5-minute chart, all the way through to longer periods, depending on which currency pair you're trading. And the bottom line there is managing risk. If you know how to manage your risk, if you can understand a little bit about charting or pattern analysis, then you can really do well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do like that, because you've got the fundamental traders who study company stocks, such as which Sharelord allows you to do that. And then you've got those people who want to see a chart, want to see historical data and patterns. So, it appeals to both. So how can we find out more about there's just a brand new launch, I believe, with Cashflow Forex?
Yes, it is. We are going to be doing some launches coming up in the next week or two. We'll probably be more than likely advertising that for people to come to the launch, and then we're just going to move on from there. But there is a little bit of a difference the way it's done, because with all the experience that I've obtained, plus the knowledge that I've gained through other traders that are deep in the Forex market, I've been able to take away stuff that's allowed me to then educate individual at another level, or another level of understanding, if you wish. So that way it's increasing the probability of those trades potentially going in their favour.
Oh, fantastic. And I can't wait to see that. I know that many people do. So let's talk about mindset, having a financially abundant mentality, and how important that is with not just trading, but with life in general.
Look, mindset, there are individuals that have what is known as a poverty mindset, and there are individuals that have what is known as a prosperity mindset. And the bottom line is this: those with a poverty mindset, I'll give you an example. You still have a letterbox, right? Okay. When you go to the letterbox at certain times of the month, what are you expecting to get?
Checks.
That's a prosperity mindset. But most individuals, they're afraid of going over there because they're expecting bills. Okay? And that is creating what is known as a negative energy with money. So you're essentially saying, I don't want you. Stay away. If you're going to go much deeper into the body, into the spiritual connection with money, we have what is known as a divine will. The divine will is that everybody was born to be rich.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
The free will, which we have certain control over based on our beliefs and values and decisions that have occurred over the period of time, that is essentially saying, get away to the divine will. We are not meant to be rich. We have to work hard for our money. Money doesn't grow on trees, and so forth and so on. So it's a matter of changing that and surrounding yourselves. Well, the individuals have to surround themselves with people who are doing it, who are successful, so that they become like them. But unfortunately, most go for the easy way out, which is surrounding themselves with those that have probably lost a lot of money, are not doing anything, and they take advice from those people.
Oh, yeah. The best advice, I reckon, is, or the worst advice, is from your cousins, taxi drivers.
Oh, they're fabulous.
Yeah, and people that just, like you said, if you surround yourself with people that there's more attention to the drama of not getting something than focusing on what it is you want. And even with 21st Century, many of you know that that's what we teach. We teach having that financially abundant mentality. And if you can't do something, or if you want to start trading and you know that you need a certain amount of money, rather than going, look, I can't afford to do this, it's just a matter of asking a different question in a different way, like, how can I achieve this? And when you ask it in a different way, how can I achieve this, then it's amazing, the fibers that ignite in your brain, and then you start thinking of different ways. Well, I could sell something, I could use current equity, my parents' equity, I could borrow, so it's a matter of, and it is a skill that it has to be learnt over time. It's not just instant, is it?
No, look, it does take time. I was brought up, as you were told earlier, I'm of Italian background, Italian descent, and my parents came to Australia during the Second World War, and all they really knew was how to work to pay the bills and also support us kids. And my mum used to work long hours. She used to work 2 jobs. My dad used to get up at 4:30 in the morning and come home at 8 o'clock at night. So that the family unity wasn't really there. And that is what I was brought up in. And I didn't want that for my kids.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that, John. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Straight from John Bigatton, leading educator and trader for Financial Freedom Institute. So for more information, you can visit 21st Century TV. But John, it's always a pleasure having you in the studio. So give us one more big Arnie pose. Oh my goodness me. All right, thanks John for joining us. You've been a gem.
Thank you so much.
So for more episodes, tune into 21st Century TV. Up next is our senior trader for 21st Century, Patrick Lowe.